Hello students, we are going to discuss about the binary trees with its properties and traversals in this video lecture. First of all, let us try to understand what is a binary tree. A binary tree is a type of a tree. So we know what is a tree. A tree is a collection, it's a data structure collection of nodes and edges. So where nodes are nothing but the places where data is represented, and branches or edges are the ones that interconnect the various nodes. And we have also come across the restriction on a tree, that in a tree a node can have at most one in degree, or in other words there can be maximum of one parent to any node in a tree, and there is no restriction on number of out degree. A node can have any number of children. Now where binary tree makes a difference with the tree is that if you impose a restriction on the tree such that a node can have at most two children, or the out degree of any node can be at most two, then it becomes a binary tree. So a binary tree is a tree in which no node can have more than two subtrees, or in other words the maximum out degree for a node is restricted to be 2. That is what the difference between binary tree and a tree. So the allowed out degree for a binary tree is that it can have 0, 1 or 2 subtrees. Leaf nodes will have 0 subtrees, and all other internal nodes will have either 1 or 2 subtrees. And now we can classify the two subtrees as left and right subtree, because a node can have at most two subtrees. We can conveniently call it as left subtree and right subtree. And each subtree itself is a binary tree. So the characteristic of the binary tree will be preserved at all levels. So in every level of the binary tree there is going to be maximum of two subtrees only, not exceeding that. This is an example of a binary tree. You have got a root which comprises of two subtrees left and right, and at each level we have got the node having 2 out degree or 1 out degree. So minimum is not restricted, but maximum is restricted to be 2. So this is qualified as a binary tree. And all these are also examples of binary trees. This is an empty binary tree. This is a binary tree of a single node, binary tree of two nodes, and so on. So all these are various examples of binary trees. Now we are going to discuss various properties of binary trees. The first property is height of a binary tree, and it is also sometimes referred as the maximum depth. So we can compute the height of a binary tree as 1 plus number of nodes on the longest path from the root. So the height of a binary tree can also be mathematically predicted, which means that if you are told that there is going to be a binary tree of n number of nodes, you can predict what is the maximum height that is possible for that particular tree using a formula. The formula is h max equal to n, where n is nothing but number of nodes. So in other words, the maximum height of a tree of n nodes is nothing but n itself. This is only what we are saying is only the maximum height. It need not be the actual height. So when you actually construct the tree, it can be less than the height, less than the maximum height. We are only talking about maximum possibility, not the minimum or actual one. We are going to see the example for that. So here we are told that the value of n equal to 5. So the question is, what is the maximum height possible? The answer is very simple, which is 5 itself. So because the formula simply says that h max equal to n, here n equal to 5, which means the maximum height is also 5. But we just have to prove how is it correct. That's what is presented in this example. The proof that maximum height is 5 is, if you construct a tree like this, where every node is in one side, that is the entire tree is skewed in the left side, then only it will reach the maximum height. And then how do you calculate the height? The formula for calculating the height is just that number of levels plus 1. So as a result, we have got 4 levels starting from 0, and plus 1 it results in 5. So the height of the height of a binary tree having max 5 nodes is 5. Another way of calculating the height is we can also count the number of edges and add 1 with that. Instead of calculating the number of levels and adding 1, it's also easier to calculate the number of edges or branches. So here the number of branches are 1, 2, 3 and 4. Again it's going to produce the same result. Now given 3 nodes to be stored in a binary tree, what is the maximum height? Answer is simple. It's going to be 3 only, because n is 3 and the maximum height is also 3 only. The maximum height is 3, and there are 4 different trees that can be drawn to satisfy the maximum height of 3. I will show you the possible trees we can construct out of this. Here we have that possible ways of constructing the binary tree with the 3 nodes with the height 3, except the first one. The first one is actually an example for a minimum height tree. So with the 3 nodes, the minimum height is 1 plus 1, 2. So there is one branch, and if you add 1, then the height is 2. So the minimum height you can have for a tree with the 3 nodes is 2, whereas the maximum height is 1, 2 plus 1, 3. So all the other examples are all the various ways of representing that binary tree which has got the height of 3 with 3 nodes. And we can also make an estimate of the minimum height for the given number of nodes. What is the minimum height possible? Just like we saw in this example, here the minimum height is 2 when the number of nodes are 3. In the same way, we can calculate the minimum height for any number of nodes. So for that also we are going to see the formula. The h min equal to log 2n plus 1. So when the value of n is known, we can compute the minimum height that is possible for that particular tree. Given 3 nodes to be stored in a binary tree, then what is the minimum height? You just substitute the value 3 into that formula and calculate log 2 3. You will be getting the result as 3, because the minimum, okay, n is 3, and when you substitute this value into that formula, you will be getting 1 point something, and when you take the integer part of it, it will be resulting in 1 and then plus 1. So the minimum height is 2, which we already proved this in the previous slide. So when the number of nodes are 3, the minimum height is 2. That is also confirmed by this formula. Similarly, when the minimum height is 3 with the 3 nodes is 2, just like this, we have got this is about the minimum height with the 3 nodes is 2, and minimum height with the 4 to 7 nodes is 3. So for all the number of nodes between 4 to 7, the minimum height is 3, because the formula gives the same value, same result for all the cases, and that is also proven with these diagrams. You can see that in the first case you have got 5 nodes and the height is 3, and here we have got 4 nodes and again the height is 2 plus 1 3, and here we have got 3, 5 and 7. So 7 nodes, and for that also the height is same. So the point is that for all the binary trees having the nodes from 4 to 7, the height is uniformly 3 only, minimum height. The next formula we are going to look at is minimum nodes for a given height. So earlier we calculated the minimum nodes for a minimum height for a given number of nodes. We are now going to reverse the process. Minimum nodes for a given height, we can calculate it just like this. So n min equal to height itself. It's just a reverse of the formula. So we can calculate the minimum nodes for a given height as n min equal to height itself. For example, given a tree of height 3, then what is the minimum number of nodes that can be stored? using the formula, the answer is 3. There is no difference here. Height is equal to the minimum number of nodes. And the maximum nodes for a given height. The formula for the maximum number of nodes for a given height is derived from the fact that each node can have only 2 descendants, and given a height of the binary tree h, the maximum number of nodes in the tree is given as n max equal to 2 power h minus 1. So you just have to substitute the value which is the height. So we are now given the height, we have to calculate the maximum number of nodes we can accommodate in that particular height, for which we have the formula. So given a tree of height 3, then what is the maximum number of nodes that can be stored? For applying this formula, we can calculate it as 2 power 3 minus 1, which is 7. That is shown here. So this is a tree whose height is 3, because it has got 2 branches, and adding 1 with that, it results in 3. So the height is 3, and within this height 3, there is no, it's not possible to add any single edge node into this particular tree. It's fully occupied. This is called as a complete binary tree or a full binary tree. So every space is occupied, which means it is having the maximum number of nodes possible for the given height. So the formula is working correctly, that the maximum of number of nodes accommodated for a given height is 2 power h minus 1. The next property is very important. It will play a very important role in the various applications of the binary tree, which is the balance factor or the balance. First, the importance or significance of the balance. When you make use of the binary tree, you will have to frequently search for elements in the binary tree, because binary tree is nothing but a data structure. So we are going to represent or store data into the tree. So lot of times we have to search for data. So whatever we have previously stored, we may want to search. In fact, we can apply binary search easily on binary tree. We will see it later. So searching is a common activity to be carried out on binary tree. The search efficiency can be improved if the distance from the node to the root is shorter, or in other words, if the binary tree is compressed with a lesser number of levels, then it will take less time to search for elements. So the children of any node in a tree can be accessed by following only one branch path, and the nodes at level 1, which are children of the root, can be accessed by following one branch. Similarly, the nodes at level 2 of the tree can also all be accessed by following only 2 branches from the root. Okay, now the crux of this discussion is, it stands to reason therefore that the shorter the tree, the easier it is to locate any desired node. So if you recall that we have seen that for a given number of nodes, we can construct the tree to have the maximum height. Okay, we saw that for the given number of nodes, we can even construct a tree to have the maximum possible height. But such a tree will be highly inefficient when you want to search. So which type of tree will be more efficient is the tree that contains the minimum number of height for the given number of nodes. So that is the way we can improve the search efficiency, by keeping the tree height to be shorter. That's what results in the concept of a balance. So this concept leads us to a very important characteristic of binary tree called its a balance factor. To determine whether a tree is balanced, we calculate its balance factor using this simple formula. The balance factor of a binary tree is the difference in height between its left and right subtrees. In other words, HL minus HR. We will see an example on that. A tree where no leaf is much farther away from the root than any other leaf. That see, the meaning of this particular statement is that all the leaves are at the same level. That's what they indirectly say. A tree where no leaf is much farther away from the root than any other node. So all the leaves are at the same distance from the root. That tree is going to have the balanced. It will be called as a balanced tree. So these are various ways balance factors. Try to understand the calculation clearly. It's going to be helpful in the another tree called the AVL tree. So in the first example, I have got the empty tree. So still I can calculate the balance factor as 0 minus 0. Whereas in the second one, I have got a single node. So both the left and right shift tree are treated to be 1 minus 1. That is because level is 0. So adding 1 with that, it results in 1 and 1 both the left subtree and right subtree are assumed to be at the height of 1, so 1 minus 1. Whereas in the second case, there is one branch, so plus 1 results in 2, and here it is 1, so 2 minus 1, 1. And here it's opposite, 1 minus 2, minus 1. And similarly here it's one branch in both side, and adding 1 with both of them, the height is 2, 2, so 2 minus 2, 0. And here it is 1, 2, plus 1, 3. Here it's 1, plus 1, 2, 3 minus 2, 1. So, okay. With this idea, can you calculate the height balance factor for the last two trees? You just try to, in your mind, you try to calculate the result. So, I will now show you the actual value, which is 1 minus 3 equal to minus 2. That is because here the left subtree is empty, and just like we saw in the first case, whenever the left subtree is empty, we assume it to be height 1, and the right subtree having height of 3, that is 2 plus 1. So 1 minus 3, it is equal to minus 1. Whereas in the second case, it's 3 minus 1. Remember, even though the C is in the right subtree, basically it is in the left subtree of the root. So we should only treat it as a left subtree height, not right. So 3, and left is right is empty. So it's going to be 1, 3 minus 1, 2. So these are various balance factors, just to show how to calculate the balance factor. Now coming to balanced binary tree. In a balanced binary tree, the height of its subtree differs by no more than 1, which means that the balance factor of the left and right subtree is difference between the balance factors of the left and right subtree is either equal to 0 or minus 1 or 1. For example, in the previous case, this is considered as a balanced tree. This is also a balanced tree, balanced tree, balanced tree, except the last two. The last two are unqualified as balanced trees because their balance factor is not within that list, 0, plus 1 or minus 1. So all other cases are they are treated as balanced trees. So the given example, you may be asked to answer whether the given tree is a balanced tree or not. You have to calculate the height of the left subtree and the balance factor. So in this case it's 2, and 2 plus 1, 3, and here the right subtree is 1, 2, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, and the difference is minus 1. So it is a balanced tree. Since the balance factor is 3 minus 1, 4 equal to minus 1, this is considered as a balanced binary tree. The next type of tree is called complete and nearly complete binary tree. A complete tree has maximum number of entries for its height. In other words, n max equal to 2 power h minus 1. So it's having complete nodes. The maximum number is reached when the last level is also full. A tree is considered, on the other hand, a tree is considered nearly complete if it has the minimum height for its nodes, which is the formula we have already come across, and all nodes in the last level are found on the left. We'll see the example to understand it. So here this is complete tree, and this is also complete tree, because for the given height it's having the maximum number of nodes, and the third is also a complete tree. Whereas here this is nearly complete because except the last level, other levels are full. So this is having the minimum height. All the second cases are all having minimum height, but not the, they are not complete like the first with the examples. So they are termed as nearly complete trees. But to tell you something additionally, that whenever you refer materials outside this textbook, you will find a different definition for complete tree. So this is the definition. It's generally followed everywhere. A binary tree is a complete binary tree if all the levels are completely filled except possibly the last level, and the last level has all keys as left as possible. For example, the tree that you are currently seeing on the screen is actually a complete binary tree as per the description given here, because the last level alone is having some blank space. All other levels are completely occupied by nodes. They have the maximum nodes possible. So this is still a complete binary tree, but as for our the definition we have seen in the slide, this particular slide, it's not complete. So, and one more point is that there is something called a perfect binary tree. A perfect binary tree is a complete binary tree in which the last level is full and all leaves are at the same level. This is the difference between complete binary tree and perfect binary tree. A complete binary tree can be except the last level, all other levels has to be full. So the last level is exempted from in a complete binary tree, but if that is also included, then it's called a perfect binary tree. So the point is that the definition we have got here is actually meant for a perfect binary tree, and the nearly complete binary tree is what generally referred as complete binary tree in other places. But for the purpose of our discussion in the syllabus, we will be just sticking to this definition, that a perfect binary tree, we will just refer it as complete binary tree, and a normal complete tree, we will refer it as nearly complete binary tree. And the next term is called full binary tree. Every node other than the leaves have two children. So here this is an example. So here except the leaf, all other nodes have two children. Then it's called as a full binary tree. And this is also a complete binary tree. Remember that this is also a complete binary tree and it's also a full binary tree. But here this is only a full binary tree but not a complete binary tree. We are now going to discuss about the traversal binary tree traversal techniques. The basic idea of a binary tree traversal is visiting each and every node in the binary tree once, at most once. So when we say visiting each node, we actually mean processing every node. So every node is nothing but a value. So what is stored inside each node is a data, and that data has to be processed for a number of reasons. We may want to visit the nodes to search for a particular value, or we may want to visit every node to print the value. So that there are different purposes we have got for going through the or traversing a binary tree. But whatever be the purpose of the traversal, we can conduct the traversal in one of these techniques. There are two broad techniques by which the binary tree can be traversed, which are namely the depth first search and the breadth first search. So under the breadth first search, it's further classified into three categories: pre-order, in-order and post-order. So we will discuss about each one of these algorithms with the necessary examples. So first let us try to understand the difference between pre-order, in-order and post-order. The clue here is that the placement of the root or when the root is processed determines whether it's pre-order, post-order or in-order. In pre-order traversal, the root comes first. That is, the root is printed before its left and right subtree. Then it's pre-order. Whereas when the root is printed in between its left and right child, then it's called as in-order traversal. Whereas when root is printed after its left and right subtree, then it's called post-order. So let me just summarize the tree traversal. Pre-order means visit left, in pre-order means visit root and then left and then right. Similarly, in order means print the value of the left child and then the value of the root and then the value of the right child. Similarly, post order means you have to print the value of left to first, right second, and followed by the root value. So then it is post order traversal. Now let us try to apply the concept of pre-order traversal on the given binary tree. So the result is already provided, but let us just verify whether we are able to get the same result. So we start with the root of the binary tree. So which 8 is printed because it is a root. So remember, pre-order means print the root and then the left followed by the right. So 8 is printed immediately. Then we move on to the left child of the root node, and now it is a root. So 5 is a root for the subtree. So it gets printed immediately, and then we move further to the left, which is a leaf node. So print it and come back to the previous node, and then find the right child of that node, and now it is again a root for this subtree. Print it, go to the left, come back, go to the right, print it, and then go to the right child, go to the left child, and once again you return. So you have to come back all the way to the root of the tree, and then you can now go to the right subtree. So print the value of 4, 11, and 3. So that is exactly the value, and the order is exactly printed. It's very important that we have to correctly reproduce the same order as for pre-order, because it will differ from the other two traversal. Let us also try the same example for in order. And remember, here in order we have to first print the left, then the root, and thirdly the right. So let us check whether it happens correctly. So here we go to 8, but we don't print it because it's now in order. Then you go to 5, then finally you go to 9. So 9 is the left child of 5, and it does not have any more children. So we can conveniently print it immediately. So 9 gets printed. Now that we have printed the left child, we can also print the root, because the root is printed after the left. So you go to the right child now, and again you don't print it, you go to the left, and it is again a leaf. So print it, and then print 7, and then go to the right, and go to the left, print 2, and come back to 12 and print it. And since it does not have a right child, you just have to go back to the root, and you have to go to the right subtree, and don't print 4 immediately because it's now pre-order traversal. So you have to no. So you have to now go to the right subtree, and 11, 3. So first print 3 and then print 11. That's what the idea of a in order traversal. Here the root is printed in between the left and right subtree, and here in the case of 4, when it don't have a left subtree, it gets printed. So after 8 we printed 4 because 8 does not have a left subtree, so it only has a right subtree, and it is printed immediately. But for all other nodes we followed this principle. Now going to the post order, here also it will be very similar, except that we will be printing the root after printing its left and right. So you can evaluate the result for the idea of post order traversal. So 9 get printed, and then 7 get printed, and only then 5 will be printed. So from 7 it goes to 1, and 12, 2, and finally 5 will be printed. So this is the idea of post order. Now, having discussed the demonstration of the 3 traversal techniques, now the formally how the algorithm is provided. Algorithm is actually very simple to implement for the traversal. We can make it simple by using recursion. So we don't have to once again go through these points again. the algorithm is just this. So process the root, which can be like printing or searching or whatever it is, whatever the purpose of the traversal, you do it first for the root, and then make a recursive call to the left subtree, followed by a recursive call to the right subtree, because it's a pre-order traversal. Root, left, right. If you just slightly adjust this order, it becomes in order traversal. So the algorithm will be in order of left subtree, process the root, and then in order of the right subtree. I think you can now guess the algorithm for the post order. It would be like a post order of left subtree, post order of right subtree, and process root. So the algorithm is very simple to recollect while during an examination, and you should also be capable of tracing a given by a binary tree for a particular traversal. You should be able to reproduce the results of a traversal given a binary tree during the examination. Now we are going to discuss about the next traversal technique, which is breadth first traversal. In the breadth first traversal of a binary tree, we process all of the children of a node before proceeding with the next level. So in other words, given a root at level n, we will first complete all the nodes at level n before proceeding to n plus 1 level. And one more point to be remembered is that the previous algorithms, that is in order, pre-order, and post order, makes use of stack. Though we did not see the mentioning of that stack, whenever we say recursion, it includes the usage of a stack. And breadth first traversal makes use of a queue. So this algorithm uses a queue. Before looking at this algorithm part, let me show you a demo of that. It will be easier to deal with the algorithm. We start with the root. From the root, we note down all its children into the queue. So we push queue B, which is its left child, into the queue, and then C, which is its right child, into the queue. After completing this, then we remove the front from the whatever the first value from the queue and go to that particular node. Let me repeat. We started with the A. We pushed the left and right child of A into the queue, and we then popped the first value from the queue and visited that particular node. So we entered into B. We do the same thing for B. Push its left child and right child into the queue, which means D is pushed into the queue, but because it doesn't have a right child, that's all. We don't have to add one more value. So C and D are currently inside the queue. Now we have to do the same thing. Remove the first element from the queue, that is front element removed from the queue, and then you go to that, which is C. So you now do the same thing. You push the left and right child of C into the queue, E and F, and you pop the first value from the queue and visit it, and then pop the next value, visit it, pop the next value, visit it. So we have got the entire tree visited in this way, which is called as a breadth first search. So the breadth first search is simply about maintaining the queue and just following this rule clearly. The same, I'm just going to show you this once again. We started with the root of the tree, and we identified its left and right children and pushed both of them into the queue, and then we popped the first element from the queue and visited that particular one, and we did the same for that node, which is push the left and right child of the current node into the queue. So it became like this, and then we removed the front element and visited that, and inserted the left and right child of that particular node into the queue. We just cyclically follow the same procedure. Once whatever we did for the first node, we just have to repeat it for all other nodes. Naturally, when the queue is empty, we would have visited all the nodes in the tree. This is the idea of breadth first traversal. The same would have been described in the algorithm also. So there is a loop when current node not null, that is until we have reached the end of the tree, we have to repeat it. So process the current node. If the left subtree not null, then enqueue that particular node. So if it is having a left child, then insert that into the queue, and then if it also contains a right subtree or right child, push that, that is insert that also into the queue. So both the left and right child are inserted into the queue, and then it just doing the same thing we did. If the queue is not empty, then remove the dequeue, that is remove the first element from the queue, and then repeat this algorithm for that particular value. So the breadth first traversal is implemented in this way. So using this also we can visit all the nodes in the binary tree. So these are the various traversal techniques that are available for traversing a binary tree. Thank you.